So today we are going to start with a new poem from the modern age, which is entitled The Unknown Citizen by Winston Hughes Auden. And he is actually one of the most important and well-known modern poets, since his poetry actually involves a lot of the elements that we consider to be features that characterize modern poetry. So before we start with the poem, just briefly, we are going to say something about the poem, and this is the poet. The Unknown Citizen was written by the British poet. He's British, and also actually he's British, and he after moving to America, as it is said here, he also took the American citizenship. So sometimes he's referred to as Anglo-American. Not long after he moved to America in 1939. So the poem is a kind of satirical elegy. So it is an elegy, but not the usual form of elegies that we are used to. We all know that in elegies, the speaker or the poet is speaking about someone who's dead, and actually speaking in a good way about someone who's dead. But here, what makes this poem an unusual elegy is that we have this element of satirical. Okay, so it is written in praise of a man who has recently died, just an ordinary man, an ordinary citizen. You see, just what the title says here, and actually he's any citizen, any man, because he's unknown. Okay, who has recently died and who lived what the government has deemed an exemplary life. So this elegy is, as we are going to see when we read the poem, is talking about someone, and this one is unknown to us as readers, and also he's intentionally referred to as someone unknown. So this means that he could be any modern man living in the modern society, in the modern world. Actually, what makes this elegy satirical, the element of satire نعرفها احنا هجاء. What makes this element in this poem is that actually speaking about someone who's not a specific person, he's not a specific character. There are no, let's say, unique achievements that this person has done, maybe, or the people actually who are speaking or who are writing this elegy about him is the government, just like it is mentioned here. The government is issuing this elegy on an ordinary citizen. Usually we know that elegies are written by maybe the loved ones, the family of the person, the friends of this person, but here the government. So, and this is what makes this element of satire in this poem, and we are going to see how can we analyze it as we read the poem. So if we go to the poem, we see actually before the starting with the actual text, we have this kind of epigraph. What does it say? To JS07M378, this marble monument is erected by the state. So actually we can imagine there is a statue that is built for this citizen, and below this statue, as you stand before it and you read, there is some inscription under the statue which says that this person, it is referring to this person as JS07M378. So there is no name actually. Yeah, you can imagine that here this statue is built by the government, okay, and it is dedicated to this person. What is the name of this person? Usually when you see a statue of a very famous character, well-known person, or even, let's say, even to ordinary people, you read some names below it, the names of these people, or this person whose this statue is made for. But in this case, notice here, to JS, what is this JS 07M378? Numbers and letters. There is no clear name of a person. So this actually can lead us to conclude that the government deals with people not like real people who has clear and identifiable names. The government deals with them as what? As just, let's say, items. And it gives them numbers and codes. This is a code. This citizen, this person, has a code. And instead of referring to them by their names, we refer to them by the code, JS07, which means nothing, by the way. What is this JS? It's just maybe a kind of classification for citizens. You see, so this is actually a hint to what kind of, let's say, what kind of systems, economic systems, political systems, the modern world has come to. Systems which deal with people not like individuals who have unique entity or personality. No, they are just numbers. They are just items in a list. Okay, so this marble monument is erected by the state. So this is the creation of the state, the government. Okay, so what does it say? So now we expect to find some kind of praise for this citizen. It says he was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint, and all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint. For in everything he did, he served the greater community, except for the war, till the day he retired. He worked in a factory and never got fired, but satisfied his employers, Fudge Motors Inc. So from the very beginning, we have this reference to the citizen, he, also without a name. You see, so when we use a pronoun, he, she, it, when we use these pronouns, we have to have mentioned the person before. But here in this case, it is not necessary actually. He, any citizen, okay? He was found by the Bureau of Statistics. So this Bureau of Statistics, what is it? Actually, it is part of the government. This is an institution inside the government. And statistics means it gathers information about people, gathers information and turns them into numbers. تعرفون الإحصائيات هي عبارة عن أرقام, just numbers. Okay, to be one. So this institution in the government, what does it find about this character, this citizen? Sorry, there is no official complaint about him. Nobody has ever complained about his behavior. No, he didn't do anything that breaches the laws. He didn't do anything like, for example, corruption maybe, or something like that. There is nothing about it. He's very, we can say his record is very clean. Okay, and all the reports on his conduct, on his behavior. So actually the government is looking around and watching and controlling everything, and it knows the behavior of each individual, each person, each citizen, and there are reports on that, taqarir. Okay, so when we go back to the reports of the citizen, what do we find? That in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was saint. So the word saint, اللي هي معناها قديس, the word saint, we all know this is a religious word. يعني هي كلمة أصلا تستخدم في سياق ديني. And saints are actually something, or let's say a rank in the religious tradition, which is very high. Actually, not anyone becomes a saint. But here, notice the very careful use of the word. He said, in the modern sense of of an old-fashioned word. This is a very old word, and we don't actually use it now. If we ever need to use this word in our modern culture or society, we don't use it in the old meaning. Okay, not in the religious meaning. Here we use it in a modern sense. We add something modern to it. In the old ages, the saint is someone who maybe perform miracles, someone who has some religious achievements in the let's say in guiding people, in influencing society in religion. But in the modern meaning of this word, if we want to use saint in our modern world, it doesn't mean the same thing. It is not about religion. In the modern sense, a person who is a saint is the one who obeys the government. Okay? يعني الإنسان اللي يطيع الحكومة، يطيع قراراتها، يمشي على خلينا نقول أنظمتها بدون مخالفة، هذا القديس. يعني الكلمة تجردت من معناها الديني. Okay? For in everything he did, he served the greater community. So this is what is unique about this citizen. Anything he does is to let's say to serve the good of the whole society. Okay? Except for the war. So even in war, actually, in war maybe he couldn't fight, or maybe because the war is an exception. It is not an ordinary situation. Okay? Till the day he retired. So he worked in a factory. So he's a very ordinary person. He has a very regular, ordinary job in a factory. Okay, and never got fired. So, you know, people get fired. Why? Because, for example, they do something wrong. They disobey the rules. But this person is very perfect. He didn't do anything that leads to him getting fired. Okay, but satisfied his employers, Fudge Motors Inc. And notice here the mentioning of the name of the company in this manner, Fudge Motors Inc. And it could be actually kind of parody to maybe Ford. You know, this very famous car company, Ford. Maybe it's kind of parody. But I think that Auden intentionally mentions the name of the company in this manner, because, you know, when we speak about the capitalist system is actually based on such kind of companies and capitalist, let's say, institutions, which are mainly after profits, gaining profits, dealing with the workers or let's say the employees in terms of gain and loss, in terms of profits. So, and we have actually, when we speak about modern age, it is an age in which we have a lot of such, the emergence of this capitalist system in a very strong way through the appearance of such companies. Okay, so this is kind of satire. He's satirizing actually. So it's clear from the first 5 lines that the state is in a total control and has planned and structured this individual's life in order to create a complete conformist, someone who has a clean identity, who serves the greater good. Okay, so from this very beginning we can see that there is this establishment of kind of control, and he's trying to show us that this government is controlling everything. Yet he wasn't scab or odd in his views, for his union reports that he paid his dues. Our report on his union shows it was sound, and our social psychology workers found that he was popular with his mates and liked to drink. Okay, so what about his behavior inside the place he worked in? Actually, he wasn't scab or odd in his views. He didn't have such opinions or views that were against against the community or against the, let's say, the government. He's always, let's say, getting along with the public opinion, with the public, let's say, community. So for his union, actually, because people who work in in a specific job, usually they they have this union which protect their rights. يعني هذا الاتحاد اللي ينتمون إليه حتى يحمي حقوقهم، نقابة يعني شكل النقابة. So there are reports about him inside this union actually also, and it shows that actually he paid whenever it is time for payment to pay for this union. He is paying at time. Okay, they don't owe him anything. Okay, our report on his union shows it was sound, so everything is perfect about the citizen. And our social psychology workers, so there is another institution. All these actually, if you notice, all these names, different names, and if you notice, I have colored them with green. See, green. You notice that these institutions, first of all, the poet is writing them in capital letter. لاحظوا هنا union, social psychology، وقبلها كانت Bureau of Statistics, the press. لحظة هسه بعدين راح يجينا هذني producers research. Okay, high grade living. You notice the letters here actually capitalized, and also they are referred to as part of the government. Okay, and our social psychology workers found that he was popular with his mates and liked a drink. So they are noticing even his behavior inside this place, and also with so that he was popular with his mates and liked a drink. So the social psychology workers who belong to the government, who work actually in the government, they state some kind of standards of how this person is popular. Actually, people around him, those who worked with him, they liked him, and he just had, sometimes he liked a drink. He's not someone who would, let's say, exaggerate or celebrate all the time, or leave, for example, his duties and follow some kind of, let's say, enjoyment for himself. He was really someone who's balanced. Okay, this is what they found when they studied his behavior. The press are convinced that he bought a paper every day and that his reactions to advertisements were normal in every way. So even they are watching him when he is reading a newspaper. Okay, he bought a paper every day. You see this kind of behavior, which is very, let's say, what can we say, very organized, something that is measured. You see, every day he has to buy a paper and read it. Okay, very regular behavior. The press are convinced that he bought a routine, نقدر نسميه routine يعني, okay, and that his reactions, so not only that he's a regular person who buys papers regularly, but also his reactions. We want to see when he reads the paper, what is his reaction to the news. Okay, to advertisements were normal in every way. And notice here, advertisements. So do we have just advertisements in the paper? Of course, there are a lot of things that are mentioned, maybe political news, maybe economical news, maybe social, a lot of things that are actually written in a paper. But our citizen, this perfect citizen, if we can call him, he goes directly to the advertisements. He doesn't bother reading other things because actually he's interested just in the advertisement. And advertisement is not something actually very serious. يعني يروح القسم الإعلانات بس يقرأ الإعلانات، ما يقرأ الأخبار الاقتصادية والسياسية ولا ما عنده أي reaction عليها. You see, you see what kind of person the government sees as perfect person, and his reactions to advertisements, and what kind of reactions one can have about an advertisement or advertisement. طبعا هذا اللفظ أمريكي وبريطاني. advertisements is British and advertisement is American. Okay, so his reaction to them is very normal. Actually, what kind of reaction one could have about an advertisement? It couldn't be anything interesting actually. Policies taken out in his name prove that he was fully insured. Policies, actually the government issues certain policies, projects, and actually if you notice, most of them or all of them are issued in the name of serving the citizens. مو في خدمة المواطن. In his name. Okay, they are taken in his name. Prove that he was fully insured. Actually, there is nothing wrong with the citizen. He's insured, his life is insured, his income is insured. يعني مؤمن، يعني حاصل على تأمين. شوف الدولة ايش قد يعني حريصة على المواطن. And his health card shows he was once in hospital but left it cured. Even when it comes to health, they have this kind of يعني شايفين هاي البطاقة مال الصحة كأنه عندهم في سجل. كل ما شخص هذا المواطن يدخل مستشفى أو يتعالج ينكتب له. Okay, it is recorded. So when you read it, if you take this health card and you read it, what do you see? You see that actually he just needed to go to the hospital one time. Actually, there is nothing that makes him sick. He's living in a very beautiful and comfortable and healthy society, and he doesn't need actually to go regularly to the hospital, just one time, and he left it cured. He left the hospital and he's very well. Okay, both producers research and high grade living. So we have other two entities that belong to the government. And what kind of, you see, the government is having all these institutions, all the different entities to watch the citizens, to guard the citizens, to make everything that is good for the citizens. Okay, declare, what do they find when we go to the record of the citizen in this institution? What do we find? They declare he was fully sensible to the advantages of the installment plan. So actually the government has certain plans, okay, for living, maybe for the distribution of salaries or whatever, and our citizen, this unknown citizen who has recently died, he's really aware, and he knows that actually this plan or this project is very good and it is perfect for him. Okay, and had everything necessary to the modern man. So actually the government believes that it knows what is good for man, this modern citizen. It knows everything, what's good for his health, what's good for his let's say life, what's good for his children, what is good for him in terms of let's say living. Everything that is good for the citizen, the government knows what is it. Okay, and this citizen is completely going with the plan of the government. Okay, what are these things that are necessary for modern man in the eyes of the government? A phonograph, a radio, a car, and a Frigidaire. You see these kind of, actually these are the new inventions that started to appear in the modern age. the phonograph. I think this is a tool which produces kind of music, a radio, a car, and a frigidaire. So the government decides what are the necessary things. Okay, it's not up to the citizen to decide. This is something that actually the government decides. Okay, our researchers into public opinions, and notice here whenever there is this reference to some kind of institution in the government, notice the language. Our researchers, who's the speaker, by the way? Can we guess who's the speaker? Actually, it's really mysterious for us. We cannot tell actually who's the speaker. And the speaker, could it be some worker, someone who works in in the government? Or maybe this is just a report that is issued and read by maybe a machine, who knows? Okay, so this reference, notice actually I think we have other pronouns like our social and our social psychology. لاحظوا هنا our. Okay, and here also our researchers into the public opinion. So there is someone who also notices things that are related to opinions. the things that public opinion هي شنو معنى كلمة الرأي العام؟ هي هاي القضايا اللي تشغل الناس، يعني قضايا اللي تخرج من نطاق الأشخاص المعنيين بها وتصير قضية رأي عام، تصير شيء يخص المجتمع ككل. So our researchers into public opinion are content that he held the proper opinions for the time of year. Okay, so whenever there is something big happening, okay, and some kind of case that is you see being talked about a lot in the public opinion, our citizen takes the right let's say the right status. He knows what is the right opinion here. When there was peace, he was for peace. If the government believes that in this situation we have to go to peace, our citizen follows the instruction of the government. When there was war, he went. So if there is war, he goes to fight. He's a very good citizen actually. He fights for his country. But if it is peace, then he should go to his home and sit there and believe that actually peace is the right thing to do. So he's holding the proper opinion for the time of year. Okay, he was married. Let's see his social let's say situation status. He was married and added 5 children to the population. Notice here the tone of speaking. Added 5 children, as if they are not human beings. Adding, do you add people? The birth of children and bringing them up is just reduced to the word adding. You add people to the population when you bring children, when you have children. You see, this is actually very what kind of language we can call it? Actually, it's void of emotions. It deals with people as if they are just items, numbers, things, not real people. You don't add children. You are raising human beings. Actually, this is what we supposed to think of. Giving birth to children, then raising them, then making them good people when they grow up. For the government, this is just an addition of a number. 5 children. He added 5 children to the population. And actually the population is measured also. The government knows very well how many people are there and how many there should be. شايفين بالصين لما سووا تحديد النسل، طفل واحد، سياسة الطفل الواحد. You have the right just to give birth to just one child, because they are counting, and they see that population is overgrowing. So instead of so they are thinking about it in terms of numbers. This is something similar here, which our eugenist, another institution in the government, says was the right number for a parent of his generation. No more, no less, just 5 children. This is very suitable, right number for you, for this person from his generation. Okay, maybe this is going to change. Maybe the next 5 or 10 years it would become 3 children or 2 children or just 1. Who knows? So this follows the government plans. What does it plan, or what does the government sees as the right number of children that a citizen can add to the population? Okay, and our teachers report that he never interfered with their education. When it comes to the education of these children, he has nothing to say or nothing to do. He doesn't interfere. The government teaches them. The government educates them on the way that the government sees suitable or right. He doesn't have to give his opinion about their education. Okay? Was he free? Was he happy? The question is absurd. Had anything been wrong, we should certainly have heard. Notice the question here in the end, and actually these 2 lines are very, very important. Was he free? Is there such a question? Was he happy? The question is absurd. Why are you asking such a question? Happy? Because all these things that we have mentioned shows that he is actually living a very perfect and happy life. For the government, this is what makes a perfect citizen, and for the government, this is what means to be a happy citizen. If you follow the government, if you get along all the decisions, all the policies, if you obey, if you have your opinions that are the same as the opinions that the government uphold, if you are, let's say, following the plans of the government, then you should be a happy citizen. You should be happy. You are free. So why you are asking why would a question like this be possible? What we said already is what makes a happy citizen. You see the irony here? And this makes this poem is really a very good example of satire, but in a very, very indirect way. Okay? And the whole poem actually, from the beginning till the end, is an irony. Was he free? Was he happy? Actually, he's not free. If we come to real analysis for the life of this citizen, what's there to be happy about with such a life? You are living just like a number, and the government refers to you as JS 07. I don't know what's the rest. Just a code number, and you are. Everything in your life is planned. Everything in your life is controlled. How can you be happy? Human beings are created to be free. Human beings by nature are free. So if you make this human being as a robot, as a machine that should follow certain instructions, once it goes out of these instructions, then there's something wrong. This is not a human life, actually. The question is absurd. For the government, don't ask such question. سؤال سخيف هذا، يقول عبثي. Had anything been wrong? If anything of what we have mentioned is not going in the right way, we should certainly have heard. So notice here this last sentence is actually frightening. The government knows everything. It is actually kind of dystopia. تعرفون dystopia والutopia؟ هاي المصطلحات. dystopia هي هاي نمط الحكومة أو الدولة اللي مسيطرة على كل شيء بالدولة، كل شيء، وتراقب مواطنيها وتراقب حركاتهم وتصرفاتهم. وأكو روايات كتبت على هاي الشاكل، إنه تظهر ديستوبيا، هاي البلد أو هاي الدولة تتبع هذا النمط. Okay, dystopian. So the government, the country knows everything. So they say in the end, we, and notice the use of pronouns, we. Okay, our, we. They are referring to themselves as an entity. We should certainly have heard. Nothing goes by without the government knowing about it. It knows everything. Okay. So what do we understand from this poem? If we just take a minute to analyze the speaker, and I asked you this question, who's the speaker? Auden has chosen to craft a speaker for the unknown citizen who's completely concealed. We don't know actually who he is or she is. But the way that this person is speaking is very understandable, very familiar. He speaks with a candidness and emotionless tenor, which is hard to connect with. Actually, he's giving a report. And notice, although this is a poem, right? This is a poem, but when you read it, you feel that you are reading a report. صحيح، يعني تحسون هو الشاعر متقصد يكتبها هذا الأسلوب اللي يشبه التقارير. Okay, this is actually to show or to give us a very let's say close idea to what kind of tone the government speaks with when it is referring to its citizens. Okay, the speaker is going about his job, so the speaker is someone who is working in the government as he would any other day, and is not impacted by the facts. He's relaying about the unknown citizen. So the speaker here is shown as emotionless, and this is what the government is actually is after. There is no emotions here. There are facts about this citizen. Emotions here are trivial. We don't think in terms of emotions. We think in terms of plans, in terms of gain, profits, in terms of obedience. Okay, through the use of pronouns like our and we, as well as talking in passive voice. And notice, yes, actually we found many times many lines in which he was found, it was reported, it was our social found out. Using what? Using passive voice. It is not important who did this research. Actually, what's important is the result that we came up with. He was found. We notice such style. Auden shows that the narrator is of a dystopian nature, surveilling يعني يسوي هيك مثل مسح شامل مراقبة the life of all the citizens. Okay, they are all treated in the same manner. So the speaker actually gives us this feeling. So what does Auden try to say here? Written against a backdrop of increasing mass production and industrialization. If we notice the context in which it was written in the modern age, and actually I think in the 40s maybe، أعتقد بال 1900 يمكن مثل ما قلنا 1939 أو 40. Actually in these years we notice the emergence of these mass productions, the inventions, the companies that started to produce a lot of goods, the industrialization that has actually started in the previous century, and it is it's continuing in a rapid way. So what is the place of this modern man in the middle of all this? Okay, the poem describes the dead citizen as the modern man. So this is the problem. Actually, the more we get into a progressive society, a developed society that has a lot of inventions and industries and companies, and the more we go or head to the capitalist system, the more we have the less we have a place for a unique and let's say identifiable citizen. The citizen, the modern citizen, is becoming just a number, just someone who passes by inside this whole large system. The poem implies that modern society, in an effort to optimize, so the modern society thinks that we can fix everything, we can give standards and follow them, and in this case we are going to reach to a very unique and a very good society. So in an effort to optimize productivity and happiness, has made everyone essentially the same. And this is one of the problems of the modern mind, that it wants to make everything the same. هاي حتى احنا مرات نقول عليها العولمة، globalization، العالم قرية صغيرة، وكل هاي المصطلحات. يعني شنو العالم قرية صغيرة؟ يعني لازم كل احنا نصير نفس الشيء. Wearing the same clothes, walking in the same in the cities that looks the same, working in jobs that looks the same, that follow the same rules, the same standards. وصحيح شوف العالم الحديث، قبل كانت الحضارات والثقافات والدول كل وحدة إلها في نمط شكل معين، طراز بالبناء، بالملابس، بالأكل، بالثقافة، بالعمل. هسه صرنا كل احنا نلبس هاي ربطة العنق والسوتس أشكالنا وملابسنا ومدننا كلها صارت متشابهة. Okay, looking the same. And this is, according to the modern standard, this is what makes happiness in society. And this effort, in order to make everything the same, look the same, actually robbed life of the kind of individuality that makes it meaningful in the first place. Actually, what we are doing is we are taking the element, the necessary element which makes life happy or makes life unique for each one. Individuality، هاي الفردية، الصفة الفردية، الإنسان الفرد، الأشياء المزايا اللي تخلي هاي الحياة أو هذا المجتمع أو هاي الثقافة إلها مميزاتها الخاصة. This is what makes life meaningful. But we are taking this out and we are placing it with standards that we believe could make society happy. And we are creating kind of dystopia instead of making a utopia. تعرفون عكس dystopia, utopia. The last lines, and we said they are very important, the final lines of the piece bring greater attention to the absurdity of the poem's premise. The speaker, as if defending himself, states that the question of whether the citizen was free or happy is absurd. He was certainly happy, otherwise we should have heard. And this is the irony in the poem, that actually when we read it, when we reach to the end of the poem, when we read these two lines, we understand that what Auden is trying to say here is the opposite. The citizen is not happy. He's not free. He's actually controlled. His life is not for him. His unique individuality, his unique character is robbed from him. Okay, what we believe to be a very good life for the greater good of the community is just creating emotionless people. It's creating misery in the society, not happiness. Okay, so our unknown citizen actually turns out to be an unhappy citizen. And the whole poem, as I told you, is an irony, is a satire. يعني هاي القصيدة هي عبارة عن هجاء بالكامل من بدايتها حتى نهايتها. يعني تلاحظون الشاعر نبرة الكلام مالته نبرة ساخرة. Irony, actually. Everything he mentioned is just to make fun of the way the government looks at people and sees people. Okay, I hope this explanation is very clear, and I hope that it covers the main ideas in the poem. And actually you can read other analyses or other explanations that add other elements to the explanation of the poem. So I hope to see you in other lectures and other poems.